As the wife of one of Carlow's most prominent 19th century landowners, Lady Harriet Kavanagh could have followed an easy path throughout life. Instead, she chose a different route, one that took her and her children on incredible, arduous journeys through blistering deserts and along trails that few women, and certainly no high-born Irish women, had taken before. Harriet was born in 1799, the daughter of Richard Le Poer Trench, 2nd Earl of Clancarty. Her gilded life continued when she married Thomas Kavanagh of Borris House in 1825. Thomas was known as the MacMurrough, an ancient title once held by the kings of Leinster. Among these were Diarmuid MacMurrough, whose ambitions triggered the 12th century Anglo-Norman invasion of Ireland. Against this backdrop, and living in the grandeur of Borris House, Harriet's time could have been filled with society soirees and servants attending at every step. Instead, her intelligence, drive and curiosity inspired her to travel. As a teenage girl, she had followed her diplomat father around Europe as he helped to redraw its map following Napoleon's defeat. Later, she toured Italy with her husband. There, she first encountered a type of lace that later became synonymous with Borris. By 1846, Thomas had died and Harriet's children were old enough to travel. So she set out on her most ambitious expedition yet, an odyssey to explore Egypt. In an era before air travel, this was an incredible challenge. But for Harriet and her travelling companions, it was even more so. Harriet's third son was Arthur, who was born in 1831 with tetraamelia syndrome, which meant he was born with no arms or legs. In the 19th century, it seemed unthinkable that such a boy could ever experience a fulfilling life, but Harriet had different ideas. With the help of forward-looking doctors, she encouraged Arthur to be as mobile as possible. As a tiny child, he was urged to roll towards objects deliberately placed just out of reach. Later, he learned to write and draw with a pen clamped in his mouth. Arthur clearly inherited Harriet's ferocious determination. By the time he was 3, he could ride horses, and when he was 15, Harriet included him in her expedition to Egypt and the Middle East without question. In the early 1850s, she also visited Corfu and returned to Carlow with further samples of delicate local lace. The Carlow countryside had been ravaged by famine, and Lady Harriet understood people's urgent need for alternative sources of income. She encouraged local women to copy the Greek designs, and before long, Borris lace was making an impact far beyond Carlow. The lace was used in royal households throughout Europe and reached as far as St. Petersburg. Around 20 women were employed making it, having been taught by Lady Harriet herself. Lace continued to be made in Borris until the middle of the 20th century. In the early 21st, interest revived, and in 2016, Borris lace makers were established to maintain the craft for future generations. Despite her wanderlust, Lady Harriet Kavanagh lived her final years in Ballyragget, County Kilkenny. However, when she died in 1885, she spent one last night at Borris House before being interned in the family vault at St. Mullins. Her astonishing son Arthur, who defied his physical limitations, so much so that he even became a member of Parliament, only outlived her by 4 years. Her determination to achieve as much as possible made an indelible mark on the people of Borris, and is still a source of local inspiration almost 140 years after her death.